So let's talk about warriors in Classic WoW Hardcore. This is the class that everyone keeps referring to as the true hardcore challenge, based on it being arguably the most difficult class to level in a solo environment. Once again, we are going to look at the pros and the cons of this class, and which abilities it has available that could help out while playing hardcore, and give the class a rating based on solo gameplay, group gameplay, and survivability. This is not supposed to be a deep dive, but more of a surface overview, going over the general feeling of the class and what to expect. So let's get into it. Warriors are the true giga chance of the Classic WoW Hardcore challenge. You have little to no self-healing available, you don't have any sprint, evasion, vanish, feign death or bubble. It is just you, your weapon and the enemy. Warriors deal damage through auto attacks and abilities. Now abilities, they also cost rage, and rage is generated through either being attacked or attacking mobs. The actual divide depends on which warrior stance you are currently in, but basically you get rage for getting attacked and attacking. This means the more mobs you pull and the more damage you deal, the more rage you build, and the more damage you can then pump out. That being said, as a warrior with only one life, you have to be incredibly careful with how many mobs you pull, and this affects how much damage you can deal as well, so it just makes the class way more difficult because you simply can't take full advantage of your class's toolkit. From level 1 to level 30, you usually want to just pull one mob at a time. Often pulling more than one mob can mean actual death, or at least lead to a very sketchy scenario. When you get sweeping strikes, you can start pulling 2 mobs at a time if you're feeling a bit cheeky, and you want to upgrade the efficiency while pulling. Now, from an early level, you will want to start pooling rage from one pull to another one. Basically, you can kill an easy mob to get full rage when then charge straight into another mob to pump damage while you have full rage from the start of the fight. While leveling, you will probably want to try to go for as many green colored quests and mobs as available and as possible, and try to stay between 3 and 5 levels above your current content as often as possible. For example, Red Ridge Mountains on the Alliance side offers some level 20 quests. As a warrior, I would recommend being level 25 before doing those quests, because you're still getting full experience values from doing quests that are 5 levels below your personal level. The bigger the level gap is between you and the mob you're fighting, the more damage you will deal to that target, and the higher the chance you have of dealing a critical strike, and the lower the chance the mob has to parry your attack. The same thing goes the other way around. If you fight a mob that is several levels higher than you, that mob will have a higher chance of dealing a critical strike against you, and it will have a higher chance to parry your attacks. So try to stay 3 to 5 levels above any mob you're fighting at any times if possible. So let's have a look at some warrior abilities that are actually worth mentioning here. Number 1, Battle Shout. This is a self buff, increasing your attack power, and that's pretty much it. Execute, allowing you to finish off a fight as soon as possible, and Thunderclap, increasing the time between attacks by 10% for enemies, which can be quite helpful in survival. Next up, the biggest one, Hamstring, arguably the most important abilities for warriors in hardcore, allowing you to hamstring kite mobs. This can be used for several reasons in different scenarios, like you could hamstring kite an elite while using Throne to keep the leash, then only go melee combat when you need to refresh your hamstring, and you can pump some damage at the same time. Or you can use hamstring kiting to trade melee hits with your enemy at a rate of 1 to 1. Some mobs have a very fast attack speed in the open world, so if you stay in melee range 24/7, the mob might attack you 3 times for every single attack you make. By kiting the mob around your melee swing timer, you can make sure you trade 1 attack for 1 attack. And lastly, you can use Hamstring as a survival ability to get away from mobs. Mortal Strike. This one is actually way better than it might look like, as a lot of mobs in the open world will have a self-healing effect, and Mortal Strike will reduce that healing significantly. Like, you have casters in the open world, actual healers that will cast a healing ability, and you have tons of murlocs that will try to chug a healing potion. The warriors also have access to fear through intimidating shout. This will be a double-edged sword, as feared mobs can run into more mobs and make an already dangerous scenario or situation even worse, so use it at your own risk. Now, one big upside to being a warrior is that you have the ability to tank. This makes you very much wanted throughout the entire leveling process, and you need to be prepared to get whispered every single time you go online about tanking some dungeon. People need tanks constantly for dungeons while leveling, so as a warrior you're playing a class that is in high demand, and not only are warriors in high demand for dungeons while leveling, but they are also in high demand at level 60. If you've seen any raiding setups in Classic WoW, no matter which raid tier, there's a lot of warriors in the raid group. Warriors are being stacked because they can deal insane damage, so there will always be a demand for warriors, both while leveling and at the end game. And because warriors are quite a pain to level up, I think it is important to have that light at the end of the tunnel and something to look forward to. And I'll say this, warriors might start off weak, but they get better and better for every single level, and they reach their peak at max level. Now, while warriors might not be the best class for individual gameplay, due to lack of self-healing and lack of escape options, and a pretty bad survival toolkit overall, they are absolutely insane for group gameplay, where they have access to support classes and healers. This makes warriors go from 0 to hero if you're doing a dungeon, because while you feel weak and have to pull mobs one by one while questing, everything changes when you're in a group and have a healer by your side. Referring back to warriors' baseline rage generation mechanic, the more damage you deal and the more damage you take, the more rage you build up, allowing you to pump out even more damage. It's basically a snowball function, and you just need to get the snowball rolling, and it compounds on itself. So let's get into some ratings. For solo gameplay, warriors get a 2 out of 5 star rating. I probably should put them at 1 out of 5 because they are going to be the lowest rated class in this category, but I simply can't bring myself to give any class a 1 out of 5, especially considering warriors do actually have access to hamstring and intimidating shout. Now, for group gameplay, warriors suddenly jump up to a 5 out of 5. They are arguably the best tank possible with incredibly threat generation and survival utility through going defensive stance with a shield mid-combat, and they are also incredible damage dealers if allowed to pump massive damage. For survivability, once again it's going to be a 2 out of 5. Lack of self-healing and being a melee class with no speed increase can really be tough. The only upsides are once again hamstring and intimidating shout. As a quick summary, warriors might be the most difficult class to play when you're playing solo, but as long as you're able to group up, it suddenly goes from 0 to hero, and it becomes absolutely incredible. It's also a very safe choice if you're thinking about level 60 gameplay, and as long as you can suffer through the leveling journey, it will all be worth it at the end. You scale incredibly well with the gear, but you also need to take advantage of professions like cooking for food buffs and first aid for self-healing, and make sure to use hamstring kiting to your advantage.